Hey everyone. So how are you guys doing? So let's continue our parkour assignment, okay? And I will teach the next steps. Um, you guys probably have a blocking animation like I have right here with the running cycle, and that comes to a end probably frame 37, and then you have the next poses following the reference you guys have, okay? So the next step would be creating in-between poses, and then we're going to adjust the timing. So first thing, I want to create those poses in between, okay? And those poses are the same thing as the key poses that we already have, but we're going to we're going to be able to add more details to uh, probably sort out some specific things that we need and we didn't see yet. Okay, so let me do this. Let me start this, and I will start by let me select a key pose here. Okay, so I have a key pose in frame 37, right? Let me select everything. I'm gonna create a button because I don't have the button here. Okay, let me grab everything like I did. It's okay. So I selected everything, and then I have a key pose in frame 37. The next one would be 40 in my case. I don't like too much what's happening in 37 and then what happened in 40. I think posing 37 should be a little bit better. And if you still didn't fix the pose 37, which means the last pose from your running cycle, you can do it right now, and I'm gonna do that. Okay, so I have everything selected. I'm gonna just hit S to key everything, and I want to make a better pose that I want compared to frame 40. Okay, so my pose would be something that, for example, the hip would be a bit higher, probably a bit rotated. Yeah, and let me check this view. Oh, and definitely more to the right. And this I can also check in the graph editor. If I select translate Z in my case, I can see that, let me undo this. I can see that in frame 37, my translate in the red direction, which means X, it's very different from 40. I can see here, of course, in my viewport visually, okay? But I can also see here, there's a big difference. And then I go to frame 37 and I'm gonna make this closer. So I'm gonna bring down this key, okay? I will still fix the feet and everything else, but it makes more sense to make this happen, right? This sequence of keys, like in a position similar to this. I'm not worried about this right now, so I'm gonna work on frame 37 and on, okay? And then we're gonna keep going from 37. And okay, so let's keep going. So the same for the blue foot. So in frame 40, blue foot is around here. Let's see what happens in frame 37 with blue foot. Translate X. I definitely want to move this closer. And if I see from this angle, I want it higher as well. If you want, you can check what's happening in the viewport and the graph editor at the same time. It would be cool, you know, because see in frame 37, this blue foot, if I select the three translates, I select translate X and then I shift click translate Z. I'm going to select all of them. So I moved translate X in a way to look closer to the next key. Okay, and I'm going to do the same for the translate Y. So it would be higher in frame. And I could do, yeah, I'm going to do the same for X. So it's going to be closer as well. So this is a way that we can work using the graph editor. We know where the keys should be because we know where they want to be in the next key pulls. Okay, but anyway, now I'm going to take a look. I probably want to rotate a little bit, maybe even a little higher. I always, at least I always confirm in the viewport. Okay, so yeah, now it's making more sense. In pose 37, I want the red foot to be more something like this. Yeah, because in frame 40, it's not going to be that high. And then let me check what's happening from this angle, which means translate X. So yeah, I want to change this a little bit as well. Cool. And next steps, let's go to after the hip, I went down to the feet. I'm going to rotate a little bit more. And then I can go up. So spine is next. Gonna rotate just a little bit up. Okay. And then I want a similar pose for the arms. Okay. So if I go to frame 37, I can visually rotate. So I'm going to use the viewport to have something similar, which means I will rotate up the arm. And from the elbow, I'm going to use the graph editor to check. So I selected the elbow, and I can see here that I want to move a little bit in a way that I want my keys more similar to what's happening in the next frame. Cool. So yeah, now it's making some sense. And then I'm going to go to the wrist. That I can do the same thing. It's up to you to use the graph editor or the viewport, but it's good to understand again how the graph editor works. Cool. Um, for the fingers, I'm gonna zero them out so they are all open, like in frame 40, and then I go to the next arm. This one I'm gonna make it visually. And remember to always rotate arms and legs in a way that you want the action to happen. Like my character is coming with the arm in this pose, the arm is down until frame 37. And in frame 40, I want the arm up, but I'm not gonna do this. Otherwise, when I turn this to spline, let me show you. If I turn this to, oh, it's already a spline. Okay, so if I rotate this way, when I come from frame 28, we're gonna see the arm do some crazy stuff. You see? So that's why we want to rotate it in the right direction. Cool. So in frame 37, I want your arm similar to 40. I'm going to rotate in a way that the rig would do.
I'm gonna make this arm a little bit late than the other, so it's not too high. It's not cool to do everything very symmetrical, you know? So it's cool if you have some difference between the arms. And last, I rotate the head a little bit up. I want my guy to see up like the way he's gonna climb the wall. I'm gonna even rotate a little bit up the head in 40. And please feel free to adjust your key poses as well. Our key poses are just a base for a first idea, okay? So when we do the in-between poses, we can definitely adjust our key poses. Cool? So pose 37 is cool, pose 40 is cool, and then next would be pose 50. From pose 40 to pose 50, what is happening here? I am moving my character up, one step up, like the red foot is going up, and the hands are now IK. Cool? So let's create a pose in between those two poses. First thing I'm gonna do is select everything. So select all the controllers. Okay, I turned on the X-ray vision because there's two controllers here, probably from the knees, and I wanted to check if they are also selected. You can turn on X-ray and drag like I did to select everything and check. So I have this pose in 50. I'm gonna create a key pose, an in-between pose in 45. Cool? So when I create pose 45, you see that it's not stepped anymore. You remember I asked you guys to create stepped key poses? That's why Maya is set to create automatically in auto mode. So that's why this is happening. When I go from 40 to 45 and 45 to 50, you're gonna see things moving, not in a stepped mode. What I just do in this case, I go to the graph editor, I have everything selected. I just drag selecting all the keys from the three key poses, okay, frame 40, frame 45, and frame 50, and then I change to stepped again. Cool? And then everything is working as it should. And then at frame 45, I'm gonna create my pose in between. There's two ways to create this pose in between. Cool? We're gonna create the way first. We're gonna create the hard mode, which is like you start like I did. So next pose in 45, we kind of build it from 40, from pose in 40. So I know my hip is going up, maybe not that much, but I know it's going up. This foot, it's moving a little bit in 50. Yeah, this shouldn't happen. So I'm gonna move it back. So I'm gonna copy the pose from 40. I'm gonna paste to 45 just in case, and then I'm gonna paste to 50 where it should be. Yeah, okay, now it's working. So 40, 45, maybe in 40 I want to change a little bit so I have some difference. Yeah, and then in 50 I can rotate even a little bit more. Now it's time to start working on those small differences, that will make her animation more realistic and more natural. Okay, so we have hip, we have blue foot, and then we want the red foot to go midway from here to here. If you have, if you don't want to guess, if you want to work on like more detail, on more specific, more accurate, you can create a grease pencil or a blue pencil. I think the name now is blue pencil, right? So I will create one. It's very similar. Maybe this will be different in your case, but the idea is the same. I know you guys will figure this out. But anyway, so you can go to frame 50, for example, and mark somehow what's happening, and then frame 40, mark somehow what happened, and then I can go to 45 and bring the foot in the middle, and maybe with an intermediate rotation as well. You see? Yeah, this is for I don't know, a pose that you want to reach more, how can I say, more accurate, the middle. Or of course you can, let me remove this. Or maybe you can use the graph editor as well. Like you have 40, you have 50. You can select each 50, 45, and 40. So yeah, this is a way to, 45 is between, on the vertical axis, it's between 40 and 50. On the translate y, same thing. 45 is between 40 and 50, and same thing for translate z. Cool. So 3 ways to do that: eyeballing using blue pencil, or using the graph editor, or using the viewport and maybe checking graph editor. It's up to you. And then about the hands. Now both of my hands are up here, although I want this blue one to be a little bit lower, so I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna bring this a little bit higher. Yeah, so it's more natural. So in 50 I have something like this. So what do I want in 45? First, I want the red hand for the arms. I mean, I want the red one to already touch the wall. So in 50, I have it in IK. So in 45, I already have, I should have it in IK as well, but it's not. It's FK. You can see the controllers from the shoulder, from the elbow, from the wrist. So I would change this to IK, and then I will select the wrist controller and copy my pose from 50 and paste my pose in 45 because I want the hand in 45 already in the position. And from what I see here, it's too high. I can't, the hand's not reaching the wall. So in 45, I'm gonna bring the hip a little bit closer and I'm gonna bring this hand down. Let me see what happens. Okay, there you go. When the elbow starts to bend, I know that it's all good. So I will not worry about fingers right now. You guys don't have to worry as well. Maybe in the future in the polishing you guys can add the fingers. It's up to you, but don't waste too much time on fingers, okay? And I want to fix the elbow. So is this the elbow? Yeah. So I want to bring the elbow here. One thing that I like to start working in the in between poses as well is the shoulders. We didn't use the shoulders too much in the walk cycle and the run cycle. I didn't worry too much about it because we don't actually need it for the walk cycle especially. But here in the parkour, it's very interesting to give some motion to the shoulders. The shoulders, they give a lot of some poses, they will look stronger. They give a lot of emotion as well. And this is a thing we can start thinking about. Okay, so we're gonna select the, when I say the shoulders, it's clavicle actually. It's not the shoulder only. It's this whole wing area. Okay, so for this pose, I'm gonna start using it. Maybe for 40, I can also start using it. So in pose 40, I'm going to bring the shoulder closer to 45, the rotations. Yeah, and then I will complement here. 37, I want a little bit as well. Cool. So now in pose 45, I have the hand in the IK mode, different from 40. From 40, the hands are still not on the wall. He didn't reach the wall yet. In 45, I want the red pose, the red hand to be on the wall already. And as I move it down to adjust, when I move to 50, the hand moves a little bit up. So it's here right now, and then it moves up to here. Okay, so I'm gonna select the hand, copy and paste for 50. I will select the shoulder as well because I want some animation in 50. I don't need the shoulder to be that up, but maybe I want to bring forward a little bit up, but not too much. Yeah, and you see how the red hand doesn't move. Cool. So for last, I want to make the blue hand higher, like he's trying to reach a higher place. So I'm gonna rotate the shoulder up. I'm gonna adjust the elbow. And then the wrists. Let me adjust the clavicle a little bit as well. There you go. I have this movement between 45 and 50, and the shoulder. And if I go to the graph editor, I can see there is a key that is not stepped. So I can just select the keys and change to stepped, and there it is. Oh, I see the elbow and the wrist are also stubborn controllers. So I select them, select the keys, and change it to stepped. Cool. So now I have a pose in between. Pose 45. Cool. And then, oh, let me adjust the hand. In 50, my blue hand is already IK, and I want to make it higher. Cool. So now it's making more sense. Cool. So in between poses are passage poses, but you start to see more the details and you start to find out things that you have to solve. You know, some things need solutions, some poses will need adjustments. That's the idea of the in between poses, to start seeing what you have to think about. It's better, I prefer to work on in between poses instead of going to polishing right away, because it's better for planning. When you're animating, you have to plan stuff, how they're gonna work. So if it's better IK hands, FK hands, and all of that, you know. So in between poses will help you out with things like planning, like finding problems that may happen, and yeah. So that's it. So I'm gonna create a few more poses, okay? I'm not gonna make you watch this because it's kind of boring, but anyway, I'm gonna create a few of them, and then, oh, let me create a new one using the second method, which is, I told you this is harder, so the second method, it's easier, but sometimes you can miss some stuff. That's why I didn't want to talk it first, but anyway. So I'm gonna create a pose 55, which is between this and my jump. Okay, so in order to create the other method that you guys will prefer this, I'm gonna again select everything, then I go to frame 55, but instead of hitting S, I go to my graph editor, I select all the keys in frame 50 and all the keys in frame 60, and I change them to auto. Okay, and then you're gonna have this. So why, as Maya is creating this, the curves, you're gonna see that you're gonna have a spline animation between 50 and 60, right? So the rig is going frame by frame. Maya creates all the frames what's happening. So I go to 55 when I want my next in between pose, and then I'm gonna hit S to create a key pose here, an in between pose here, and then I'm gonna go back to my graph editor and select all the three poses again, 50, 55, and 60, and then I'm gonna change it back to stepped. So this is what I'm gonna have now. I'm gonna have a pose in 55, which is exactly a middle pose between 50 and 60. In this case, what we have to think is not everything is going, not every controller is going exactly to where it should. Okay, so we have to have this in mind. For example, the hip it's going to this pose where it's the middle between 50 and 60, but actually this is not the place I want it. So creating an in-between pose like this, it's kind of better and faster to to make controllers go midway, but at the same time you have to know what you want. Okay, so I want the hip to be here and not there, because in 55 I want my character to stay still close to the wall, not too far. So I have to rotate back a little bit, and yeah, and I want my feet to do different stuff. Okay, so let's think about the blue one first. So blue one was here, but for this pose I needed to bring it up here. So I want my blue foot in the wall as high as the frame 60. Let's go and copy this and paste here, which is probably a faster way to do this. So pose 50, pose 55, pose 60. Yeah, all way more similar to what I want. I want to bring the hip a little bit out because of the knee on the wall. Yeah, and the red foot, it was on the wall 150, and then it's in middleware in 60. So in 55, this foot, yeah, it can be on, let me zero this out. So the red foot, yeah, can be in the middle. It would not be a problem. But here it's kind of too high. Yeah, this makes more sense. Okay, and let's go to the arms. So, oh, spine first. So spine, maybe I can rotate a little bit because I want the character to start turning to that side. I'm gonna do the head as well first. I want the head to start looking as well. And okay, here comes a thing that you have to think about as well in this method. So in frame 55, if you see my FK controllers, they are here but kind of crazy, not aligning to the geo. Okay, and you still have a IK controller here, still on the wall. Why that? Because if you select the green controller, which changes from FK to IK, you will see it's in the middle. And remember that this blend, we should have 0 or 1 here, not anything in the middle. If you see the graph editor, it's in the middle between 1 and 0. And what do I want here? I want it to be FK because this arm will be on the air, and FK is 0. Okay, so I change it to 0, and then I have to select or I can just drag and select everything to key again, because the shoulder, elbow, and wrist had no keys. So I'm gonna open the arm, kinda. I'm gonna do a pose like this. And you can see again, some controllers are spline. But anyway, let me finish the arms. If I go to the other arm, you see the same thing happen. Because you want to, you see, FKIK blend. But in this case, I want the hand still on the wall. So I want it IK. I change it back to 1. I go to frame 50. Sorry, I select the wrist controller, go to frame 50, copy the pose, go to 55, and paste the pose. So, yeah. And about this moving arm, I can just drag and select everything again. Every time I have something moving, you can, it's faster if instead of investigating, you just drag to select everything. You go to the graph editor, you select all the keys that you can, and you change to step. Okay? Yep. So now it's making sense. Cool. I see here that I need a few more poses. Like from pose 50 to pose 55, it's too much of a change. So I have to make a new key pose here. And from pose 55 to pose 60, I also want to create a pose in between. I'm gonna work on those poses, and I'm gonna work on the other poses. But again, I'm not gonna make you guys watch all of this. I will come back, and then we're gonna adjust the timing. Okay? So let me pause the recording here, and we're gonna skip some time. Right, all right. So now I have all the key poses and key poses in between that I want. So they are here, and we can see it's more detailed, so I can see more of the action, more of what's happening, like from a part to from a pose to the next pose, and what feet are doing, what the hands are doing, and everything else. Okay, so let's consider I'm satisfied with what I have from key poses and in between poses. Okay, so what's my next step? Well, when I play this, I see all of my key poses, but the timing is not good. I don't know if you can feel there, but sometimes it's going too fast from one key pose to another, and sometimes it's going too slow. I know it can be hard to notice this at the beginning because animation has a lot of eye training, so you have to train your eye, a lot of practice to feel this. But we can definitely see that from pose 37, which was my last pose from the running cycle, it takes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 frames to this next pose. And if this guy is running, at the end of the running, when he goes from this pose to this one, this is really fast, right? 7 frames, it's a lot. So I'm gonna play again only this part, and you will see. So from pose 37 to 44, how slow it is. Okay, so let's play from the beginning. You see that he stops. It's like a frozen frame before hitting the wall. So runs, stops, and wall. Runs, stops, and wall. It's very fast, but you can definitely see that it is lower than real life should be, right? So let me bring this all back. And you will notice that he is definitely taking more time than he should in some poses. Like it's not a natural timing for this sequence of poses. So what am I gonna do here? And this is where we're gonna start practicing um, to sense, to notice the timing of the poses of what's happening. Okay, again, we are we can always adjust this in the future, but this is a start that we need to have before I start our polishing. Okay, you're gonna notice as well that I didn't do all the parkour, I just did the beginning of my parkour. So we don't have I don't take too much time, and we don't have too many details to worry about. So I want to adjust what's happening here. I can see first by the time slider that there is a difference of more or less frames between the keys. Like this 37 is far from 44, which is far as well from 49, far from 54, but really close to 56. And then far again, and close, and it goes on and on like this. One thing that we can do is to make them like my action is very fast, running, climbing, and jumping to the other side. So I want to start um, trying and see what happens. Okay, so in order to do this, I select all the controllers. So I'm gonna drag here all of them. um, I will also select my IK controllers. Let me see if they're all selected. Yeah, so now I have all the controllers selected, and I have the key poses and in between here. And I can do this two ways. I can move the keys by selecting them. So I hold shift and click on the frame I want, on the key I want, and then I move. Or I can use the other two that I showed you guys in a previous class. When I right click the time slider, I go to keys, and then I go to, it's gonna open a menu, a sub menu. I'm gonna click on the gray bar on the top of this sub menu, and then it will pop out, and then I have this here. So the second option would be removing in between, which will remove empty keys from here, and all the keys to the right we will start moving to the left. So I will start removing them and see what happens. I want to have, in general, in my case, they kind of similar in a distance to each other. In this case, I'm going to add in between. This, I think it's good. This is too fast, so I'm going to remove here. And again, I can only adjust this in the future again. I just want to have a first pass and see if it will look more natural, more close to real world timing. Okay, let me play now and see how it goes. It looks better. It can be still better, but it looks a way better. Cool. I still feel there is a slow, it's kind of slow here. So 37 to 40 is a bit slow, so I'm gonna remove another between, and then 39 to 42 looks a bit slow again. So I'm gonna remove another in between here. Now let's see what happens. It's getting better. I think I want to jump with a little bit more energy, so a little bit faster. So I'm gonna make this, I'm gonna keep this as it is, but I want more explosion here. I have from frame 50, 1, 2, 3, 4. Maybe I wanted 3 frames from here to here. So I would remove this in between, and I will have this one keyframe after the other. And this is not wrong, because I can adjust them if I need, but I know this is gonna be faster, so cooler. And I want to remove another one here. Let's see how it goes. Cool. This looks way better. I still have adjustments to do, like in the jump and the landing. I feel the arms are moving too fast. I can still adjust that, but you see how the sequence of poses are looking better. So yeah, cool. That's what I want. Nice.